On December 4th, 2024, the CEO of America's largest health insurer walked alone to the entrance of a Midtown Manhattan hotel. He had no security. He was shot 3 times on the pavement outside. He died before the ambulance arrived. He ran a company worth $500 billion. The bodyguard budget was zero. The security industry noted this. Let's get into it. Level 1. The visible when the presence is the deterrent. $150,000 to $500,000 per year. 1 or 2 close protection officers, former law enforcement or military, a principal with a growing public profile and a gap between that profile and their private arrangements. The officer stands near the door. He rides in the front seat. His presence communicates that the person behind him is not entirely undefended. Here is the thing about visible security. It deters the opportunistic threat. It does not address the determined one. A person who has planned for the presence of a bodyguard is not deterred by the bodyguard. Most principals at this level have not had a threat assessment. That is not accidental. It is uncomfortable. From here, security stops being a presence and starts being a system. Level 2, the advance. When the room is secured before the principal enters it. $500,000 to $1 million per year. Professionals who arrive at every location before the principal and leave after they depart. Hotels, restaurants, offices, event venues. Checked before entry, mapped for exit routes. An advance operation involves liaison with venue security, identification of choke points and sightlines, and a communications protocol between the advance element and the close protection team. The insight at this level is temporal. Security at level 1 is reactive. A bodyguard responds to a threat that has already materialized. An advanced team intercepts the conditions that allow the threat to materialize. What it is not is invisible. Invisibility costs more. That is the next level. Level 3. The residence when the home becomes the perimeter. $1 million to $3 million per year. CCTV covering every approach. Perimeter sensors. Access control managed by trained personnel. A safe room, reinforced with independent communications and power, capable of sustaining the principal, while an external response is coordinated. Ballistic glazing. Vehicular barriers at the driveway entrance designed to stop a vehicle used as a weapon. The residential layer is the one most principals add last and should add first. The home is the most predictable location in any schedule. The threat knows they will return there. What it is not is a fortress. It is a delay mechanism. Time is what the engineering is purchasing. Level 4. The travel, when every transition is the vulnerability. $2 million to $5 million per year. Movement is where security fails. The residence is hardened. The office is controlled. The space between them is neither. A motorcade, a lead vehicle clearing the route. The principal's car varying in make and model to prevent pattern recognition. A follow vehicle with a response team. Route variation as a standing operating procedure, never the same road twice in the same week. Arrival and departure times randomized. Private terminal for aviation. Aircraft swept before boarding. The insight at this level is pattern. The threat actor who cannot predict where a principal will be cannot plan an interdiction. Pattern disruption is the product. The motorcade is how it is delivered. Level 5. The intelligence, when the threat is identified before it materializes. $3 million to $10 million per year. A retained intelligence function monitors the threat environment. Open source, social media, dark web forums, disgruntled former employees, activist groups with a stated interest in the principal's industry. It identifies individuals whose behavior suggests escalating intent before that intent becomes operational. Here is the thing about private intelligence. It is the most expensive layer to build and the one most principals underestimate until after an incident. The security officer at the door responds to what is in front of him. The intelligence function identifies what is coming. That is a different product. That is a different relationship. Level 6. The apparatus, when security becomes an institution. 1. $10 million to $30 million per year. Security Operations Center staffed around the clock. A director of security with operational authority. Close protection, advance, residential, and intelligence functions coordinated under one structure. Crisis response protocols that have been rehearsed, not filed. Between 30 and 100 people employed, depending on family size and threat profile. Maintained relationships with law enforcement in every jurisdiction where the principal operates. The apparatus exists to ensure the conditions requiring a reaction never occur. The security operation has become, in effect, a private government agency, whose client is one person and whose mandate is that person's continued existence. That is not hyperbole. That is the job description. Level 7. The program. When the principal is no longer findable. Price. Undisclosed. Above the apparatus is a level the security industry does not discuss publicly, and principals at this tier do not acknowledge in interviews. The management of identity and presence, so that the principal's location and movements are known only to a small number of cleared individuals. Shell structures separating the principal's name from their assets, properties, and travel. Digital security extending to every device and communication of every family member. Physical security so embedded in the principal's operational life, it is indistinguishable from the life itself. Here is what connects the single bodyguard at $150,000 per year and the undisclosed program at a cost no firm has published. Both exist because someone decided their life had reached a value that required protection. The bodyguard is the first acknowledgement of that decision. The program is its final expression. The security was never the product. The continuation of the principal's ability to operate freely was always the product. On December 4th, 2024, a man who had not made that decision learned what the alternative looks like. His successor made different arrangements. The global private security market is worth approximately $180 billion annually. The individuals at the top of this list spend more on protection than most countries spend on domestic intelligence. They do not consider this excessive. They consider it arithmetic. The threat is real, the response is proportional. The question is only which level the principal has decided his life requires.